Welcome to the Woodworkers video on how to assemble a flat packed bifold kit. What we do at Woodworkers is we actually assemble all the bifolds in the factory and we make all the tolerances exactly what they're supposed to be before they go out. But in some instances where the bifold's too big or there's not enough room on site, we need to actually flat pack the bifold before it goes out. So what we're going to do today is to show you how to reassemble that bifold kit. And what we've done here is we've set up a frame inside the factory to represent the stud wall that would be out on site. We'll put the kit together, we'll install it into the opening and show you exactly how to fit the pieces together. These are the doors. As soon as they come out of the frame in the factory, they mark them 1, 2, 3, 4 in this case because it's a 4-leaf bifold. So we have the 4 doors, we've got the head and the sill in one pack, and we have the jambs in another pack. These are all the items you need to assemble the kit. So what we're going to do now is assemble the frame. All the screws and everything come with the kit, and you have 100mm screws to go with the sill and 75mm screws to go with the head. What we need to do here is put a silicone 101 adhesive in the channel at the bottom here where the sill is. We tilt the sill up, we put the components together making sure that they're absolutely flush, and then we screw from the underside of the sill. So what's happening now, the frame's been assembled on the ground, everything's nice and tightly screwed together. We're going to put the frame into the stud wall and fit it off so everything's nice and plumb and square. It's important to note before you install the frame that it needs to be pre-sealed on the inside and the outside. You should also pre-seal the doors at this stage because it's a lot easier to do that now than it is once you've hung the doors. What we need to do now is make sure that the sill is level before we do any fixing, and we need to make sure that the jamb is plumb. It's a good idea to hide the frame fixings if possible. In this instance, George is removing the hinges, fixing the frame within the hinge cutouts and then replacing the hinges so you can't see the screws. It's important to make sure that the sill's perfectly level. If it's not, then the doors will actually start to jam. So what we're doing here is marking the sill out. You need to drill it approximately every 450mm. And if you've got timber joists underneath, really the ideal thing would be to screw into every joist. If it's concrete, then just screw every 450 into the concrete. It's very important that you have a really strong lintel above the head of the bifold. Bifolds are all top hung, so the weight of the doors is pulling against the head, so it's absolutely essential that this lintel above the frame is strong enough to take the load. What we're about to do now is fix the head up to the top lintel. When screwing the head, you need to make sure that the head is level. So the best place to start to fix the frame would be in the middle. See exactly where the screws have been placed in the factory, which is 75mm to start off with from the edge, and then it's every 400mm across the beam. We need to take out these screws and then replace them with a longer screw. Okay, so now we're ready to install the doors. The doors have the little timber feet at the bottom so that they don't get damaged in transport. These need to come off, and you need to make sure that the beading on the doors actually go to the outside, because this is a common mistake and people start to fit the doors inside out. When we start to install the doors, we need to start from the pivot end where the hardware is already fixed from the factory, and what we need to do, as I say, is make sure that you've got the glazing bead on the outside and you line the screw holes up with the hinge that's already there. Quick tip, if you use a packer about the same height as the sill, you can put that under the door to support it while you're actually doing the install. Now we go for look for door number 2, which is marked number 2 on the side. We rest it on the timber packer, and it's most important to make sure when you drop the door in that the hardware is the correct way around and slots straight into the track. If it was turned the other way, you'd have a problem doing the installation. So make sure the hardware goes like this and drop straight into the track, like so. It's important to note when you're putting the hinge handle on that you push the hinge handle to the inside so that you can screw the hinges on correctly, otherwise it's going to be in your way. Now we look for the door that's labelled door number 3. We put that in place onto the block of timber at the bottom and install lining screws. Now it's time to fit door number 4, which is marked on the side. We place it on the block again so we've got everything nice and level, and then connect the hinges up in the same way. So that's all the doors now reconnected. What we do is slide the doors back, we lock the flush bolts top and bottom, check the gaps as we're going along, close the flapper door. You see that the gap between there is all nice and equal. That's it, job finished.